Hello everyone, this is Mamtha, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Bharathiyar Arts and Science College for Women, DEVIYAKURICHI. Today we are going to see the topic Renaissance from the social history of England. First, we will see the definition of Renaissance. The great cultural movement that began in Italy in 1300s and spread all over Europe is called as Renaissance. The word Renaissance is derived from the Latin word renaissere, meaning revival, rebirth or reawakening. Renaissance is considered as a bridge between the Middle Ages and the modern ages. Renaissance, as it has the definition of rebirth, first it had its impact on the revival of literature. Renaissance is considered as the resurrection of ancient Greek and Latin literature. Renaissance, as it has the definition of rebirth, first it had its impact on the revival of literature. Renaissance is considered as the resurrection of ancient Greek and Latin literature. The most pioneering scholar of Renaissance was Petrarch. He collected and compiled the works of great scholars like Aristotle and Plato. The fall of Constantinople in the year 1453 had far-reaching effects. Many Greek scholars who came from Constantinople stayed in Florence and spread Greek language. Pope Nicholas V founded the Vatican Library and there was many Greek books in that library. Erasmus edited the New Testament of Bible in the Greek language. Medieval thinkers believed that the study of God was the main responsibility of the people and to save their souls. The study of theology was replaced by the study of humanity, and the Renaissance thinkers, they spent much of their times in studying the achievements of different cultures like Rome and Greek. The new learning promoted the growth of universities. The first university were the group of teachers and students. The students stayed in the lodgings and the teachers stayed in the rented halls. Exams were conducted in the form of open discussion. Grocyn and Linacre taught Greek in the Oxford University. Colet founded St. Paul's Grammar School in England, and it was the first grammar school. William Lilly was its first headmaster. William Lilly wrote a first book on Latin grammar. This book was the standard textbook on Latin grammar for the next 200 years. Lady Margaret Beaufort, mother of Henry VII, herself a patroness of new learning, founded two colleges at Cambridge. One is St. Christ and another one is St. John's. Erasmus inspired his ideas by Latimer and Fisher. Thomas More, he described a new ideal land in his famous book Utopia. The philosophies of the Renaissance period was humanity, scholasticism and Christianity. In the field of sonnets, it was Sir Thomas Wyatt and Earl of Surrey. They travelled to many parts of Italy and collected a new form of sonnet form called Petrarchian sonnet. And this form was later used by many English writers like Sidney, Shakespeare and Spenser. England had become a nest of singing birds during Elizabethan age. Some of the important inventions of the Renaissance period was printing press and Marinus compass. It was John Gutenberg who invented the printing press and first set up in Germany. It was William Caxton who set up the printing press in England. The Marinus compass made the sea voyages easy and to explore it was possible to explore distant seas. And also the sailors undertook a longer voyages because of the invention of Marinus compass. The famous painters of the Renaissance period was Michelangelo, Raphael and Leonardo da Vinci. Michelangelo's famous picture of the Last Judgment on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel was a most notable one. Raphael's painting on Madonna was also important, and Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper and Mona Lisa were highest among the ranks. In the field of science, Renaissance encouraged questioning attitude. This resulted in the many valuable inventions. The first invention was the printing press. After the invention of printing press, books were made available easy. This process was very expensive and time consuming. Only churchmen could afford to have a library. The first Latin Bible was printed in Italy in 1455. The economic conditions of England during Renaissance was changed. The population was increased, causing old villages to expand. As a result, new villages sprang up. The discoveries of new sea routes brought countries closer. Society of England was divided into two groups, the very wealthy and very poor. Wealthy people were the farmers, the nobles and barons. Feudal system was another system, another important system. It was in practice. King was at the top, barons and nobles are below to him. The barons could raise an army in the absence of king when he ordered it. The poor had no rights of their own. They were protected only by the lords. The outdoor activities and pastimes of the men of Renaissance were hunting, snaring and trapping. The poaching of deer was also a common among them. They spent much of their times with horses and dogs. Theatre going was another fashion of men during Renaissance. Women also played an important role during Renaissance because they had broad intellectual interest in the area of both arts and science. In the field of music, the important musical instruments were flute, brass and cornet. It was used by the people of Renaissance. Some of the writers of the vernacular period were Dante. His famous work is the Divine Comedy. Dante was known as the father of modern Italy. His famous work is the Divine Comedy. The Divine Comedy is a long poem in which Dante describes an imaginary trip through hell, purgatory and heaven, during which one of his guide is the Roman poet Virgil. Boccaccio, another Italian writer who stayed in Florence, was very much influenced by the Renaissance spirit of humanism. His famous work, the Decameron, it is an Italian prose and also a collection of short stories. These short stories included a group of young men who fled to a villa outside Florence to escape from the Black Death. Okay, plague is referred here as Black Death. Important writer of the Renaissance period was Chaucer. His famous poem, The Canterbury Tales. This poem also had the similar work of Boccaccio's Decameron. Chaucer was inspired by Boccaccio's Decameron and he wrote the famous poem called The Canterbury Tales. As a result of this, Chaucer was called as the father of poetry and also he was called as the morning star of Renaissance. To the concluding part, we are going to see the results of Renaissance. The Renaissance remained the symbol of the beginning of the modern age. Already I have told you in the introduction itself that it is considered as the bridge between modern age and middle age. So it is the symbol of the beginning of the modern age. The spirit of inquiry and consequent scientific inventions produced important changes in the life of humanity. The invention of the Marinus compass and other astronomical feats led to the geographical discoveries. The impact of these discoveries was profound in the political and economic life of the people. The reasoning spirit of the people of Renaissance led to the religious movement called the Reformation. To drink life to the less is the motto of the Renaissance thinkers. Students, I hope that I gave you a clear idea on the topic Renaissance. Hope you understood this topic. Meet you in the next topic. Thank you.